Hello there, Patricia here. And today we're going to be talking about the slow return to daily consistency. And I do mean slow. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. And it makes me feel very scattered. But I know what it is. It's not my first rodeo. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. But before we do, please, remember to hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the channel so that it can help with the, lovely little algorithms and actually to be able to push it out to more people who can benefit from these conversations, right? So trying to keep it real, a little less formal than my old coffee chats, which are still around, by the way, so you can still enjoy those. But this being much more conversational and off the cuff, less scripted. I really haven't been using a script at all, which it's perfect for me. But we'll see how it keeps going. Okay, now let's talk about this daily consistency thing. Because when I tell you, oh my gosh, I am like a little over it, but that's the old me, perfectionist Patricia, um, being like, okay, hey, get back with the program. When in reality, the recovering perfectionist Patricia is like, it's good, you'll get it all back on track. And this all started, um, I guess, what has it been, a month and a half ago, somewhere in there, when I got sick after traveling, and it was nasty crud that lasted for several weeks. And I was trying to keep things together on certain things, particularly like with my video recording, schedule that I was, because I was a part of this 100-day challenge. So I didn't want to get too off for that. So I knew how to make adjustments to that because when I used to do my coffee chats, I literally used to do them live 2 times a week. And then I was like, this is exhausting. And so then I started doing where I would record a couple of them early and then um, uh, post them so that they could go live. And then I got pretty good at it. So I would record for up to a month worth of content and then schedule them out. So like I know how to do that already. I was making adjustments because these were much more frequent than those. So these have been almost daily. And I was like, how do I, keep the flow without getting too far ahead? Because I know it'll be way too easy. And as others who are doing the challenge as well, they would say, you can get off track because you're not exercising that muscle every day. So my compromise was to record two or three at a time, schedule them out, and then come back, and that would give me, enough days to feel a little bit better, or to find that window of time for, one afternoon where I felt well enough to knock out a few videos and then go back to crashing on the couch. And so that's how I made it through that time. And it was at the expense of virtually everything else that I did consistency wise. Now, one of the other things that I have to maintain for consistency purposes and my health is making, I have some medications that I have to take that are real important because I have a chronic illness that gets triggered by weird things, right? And stress being one of them. And so I needed to be able to continue to do that as well. And so I think that would be it. And maybe I'd miss a day or so, but stuff. But virtually everything else was just hit or miss. I did the best I could till I started feeling better. And so I'm like, okay, let's go. And when I tell you, it has been a chore. I am still finding myself fighting back on certain things. Like as simple, and it's not like big, huge things per se, even though there's some of that. But like just the daily, because I've never been a great, daily routine person. So when I finally got to that point, like rolling, so to have that interrupted is very disruptive. And the holidays, I've been tested through the holidays and all that. But coming back from when you've been sick is because there's a little brain fog, there's feeling of catching up with external things and people as well. And so it's been a little all over the place. And so here are a couple of things like I am still not back to drinking my water first thing in the morning. And it may seem like, oh, that's simple. Like, okay, just go drink some water. But like that's a part of the routine because it's also triggering for, in a good way, as like being a reminder trigger, that type of thing, a reminder that, okay, drink your water first thing. That's your reminder to take your meds. And then I'll brew my coffee so that I make sure I get those things done. Totally off. There are days when and granted, some of it involves the phone and needing to step back from picking up the phone first thing in the morning. That's a whole different conversation. But, because I'll get up, get going, whether it's in response to a text or something like that. And the last couple of weeks have been real crazy because it's been like phone calls and working on other projects. It's just been a whole hodgepodge of things. And so that response of immediately reaching to, getting up to go get my water, my lemon water to take with my meds and then fix my coffee, I will jump straight to make the coffee, sometimes make something to eat, but sometimes not, right? Because I don't normally eat first thing, like with my coffee anyway. So that was, a little off. And then just jumping straight into something else. And then I look up and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to take my meds today. And I have a new medication that my doctor has me on for daily for like, what is it, like 6 weeks? Oh my God. And I don't want to take it at the same time as my, allergy meds. So that's a whole other kind of disrupt to a routine because I really haven't quite gotten to a routine with that yet, to have it aligned with something. And it's just been all over the place. I mean, and that's all behind drinking water first thing in the morning. And I think one of the things, I mean, it's like all of these things. So my giant 40-ounce water bottle was needing to be cleaned because it was just getting a little musty. And so I cleaned it and then I wasn't satisfied. And so I need to clean it again. And I hadn't. So it's been sitting on the counter. Like all of these things feed into each other, right? And adding to this disruption of, weird things. And then one of the things I definitely usually do, not so much, well, yes, it's daily, but it starts off actually weekly with my weekly planning with my calendar. And I will lay out things, well, actually for the month, because, we've had a new month, and then translating what that looks like weekly so that then I can know, okay, where do I need to move things, each day. Oh, all over the place. I realized that this other project that I've been working on, kind of a mini course slash like artistic creativity is really a creative process thing, totally off from it, totally off. I'm like, well, guess I need to go get caught up on that. And it's something that's laid out to do daily. But again, because I've gotten off my routine, like I'm looking up and it's been weeks since I've looked at it. And I'm like, okay, we got to look through, how to weave this back in. My books, my reading schedule, where I was like, okay, I'm reading my 15 pages a day and on just on it. So it's this whole slew of things that just crumbled from one thing. And the first thing that I have to realize and remember is to give myself grace. Because I was sick. I mean, it was the crud. I call it the crud when it's one thing that turns into something else and turns into another. And you're like sick for like 2 or 3 weeks, at a time. And only being able to come up to function for like the bare necessities And then it's just like, okay, whatever. So that's what that was. I just didn't expect for it to take me out for quite so long. Like, this is not the first time that's happened per se, but it is in the context of when I was really locked in on having, like, gotten my flow and my vibe going on my daily things that were helping me to build to something, because that's the whole point. Why else would I care? I'm building to something, and I'm looking to get to the next level of some goals and some projects. And so this level of consistency has been really helpful for me. And, it's just gone, hell in a handbasket. Okay, fine. So I literally, first of all, extended myself grace. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. Do the thing when you remember it, first of all. And even more than that is remembering to do the thing when you remember it, and prioritizing the most important things. And for me, the most important things is absolutely making sure that I'm taking my allergy medications daily and not missing multiple days in a row, because that is highly problematic for me, right? Because that leads to these other chain reaction things. So I have to take my allergy meds on the regular, preferably at my same time frame, because that helps me not just when I'm here, but when I'm traveling. I'm going to be traveling in a few weeks. And so that's one of those things. Like, there are other things that are going to fall by the wayside, because that's what happens when you travel. But this is one of the ones that cannot, right? So that is the first thing. And that means also getting back to keeping my water ready for me. And so that's what I'm trying to get back to now. Even if it's a bottled water, which I really hate using those up like that. I prefer to use those when I'm moving around outside my house. But it works. So if I have to grab a bottle of water and sit it there, in the morning so that I can reach for it first thing, that's what I'm going to have to do. And so those are the adjustments I'm making right now. So it's about giving myself grace. It's about prioritizing the most important things, which for me is medication, making sure I get back to that being on a regular and not missing days. And then working through the next level of what those things are. And so that's where I kind of get a little because everything's important. I'm like, okay, no, prioritize. Like, let's level down and see what's going on. And what's funny is my plants help me with that. I have lots of hobbies. One of them that I've returned to that's making me so happy is my houseplant collection that I've been growing and doing different things with. And let me tell you, people think that pets are a thing, but your houseplants they're living beings as well, right? They're living things. And I have a couple of houseplants that are testing me and reminding me. I'm like, oh, I need to make sure I check on them daily as well, not just weekly, because a couple of new ones that have made it in, they've gone by the wayside. That's a whole other conversation. Didn't make it. I'm a rehab kind of plant girl. A couple of them didn't make it. I'm like, oh, you're trying to hurt my feelings. And then I have another one that came in perfectly healthy, and it's doing all these yellowing leaf things. I'm like, what is going on here? So now I'm getting back in the habit of making sure to check them daily. Just a quick look, right? Not some big huge thing. It's not even about watering per se, but checking in on them, seeing, making sure things are that they're healthy. And it's, again, taking those things that come naturally and working them in, and then working in the next thing, right? And so that's one of those. The thing that I have struggled with is making sure to get my videos done. And I had a timeline normally when I would do that. So I'm trying to get back to that timeline, just because if I don't then I get thrown off and I don't like doing them late in the evenings or whatever. So that kind of mid-afternoon vibe is kind of where I was. So I need to make sure, which means there's certain other things that I have to do in order to make sure that gets to that point, right? So this is that the building blocks, like getting back to the building blocks of what was working so that I can continue to do that and get back in that rhythm. So that's the other thing, because uh, that's probably a pretty strong point. Like making sure that I get my morning water and my uh, allergy meds before coffee. Like that's a stake in the ground type of thing. And then me doing my video recordings mid afternoon, earlier mid afternoon, had become pretty much another stake in the ground, and that I have to get back into, because once that's done, like it's not just recording. Then I have to go and I've got to upload it. Then I've got to enter some information behind it and then let it go. And I haven't even started doing all the details on the descriptions and the tags or whatever. Like that's where I'm supposed to be. Right. That's why I have to like calm myself down. It's all going to be okay, because my next level was me doing some more detailed work to support that. And so that's where I'm trying to get to. But right now I need to restabilize, that timing. And then because I do a lot, I function way better afternoons and evenings. So I do a lot of my thinking and processing work during those times, which is off from other people a lot of times. So trying to keep that in line, and so that it doesn't fall too far into the evening, because that has become a little bit of a bad habit that I'm trying to retract from. The other thing is getting back on schedule with my reading, my 15 pages a day, because I have a reading goal for the year. And I am currently behind, and I'm a little irritated about that because I had been on track. It's all good because I had some leeway built in there. I'm good. I have to remind myself that, because again, overachiever here has to remember it's going to be okay. So I have another book that I was supposed to have already been starting, and so I pulled it down because I missed him completely, the one that I was supposed to have read for last month. And so I'm like, well, I'll just start with the next one, and I'll come back to that one. And then as I'm doing, I'm like, but no, I kind of want to finish reading. I want to get through the one that I started. So that's what I'm doing. Again, making pivots, making adjustments. And so that's what I'll do. And I thought I was going to try and read two at a time. I'm like, you're still trying to get back on track to reading one. So how about that? So I'm trying to get back to that. And I have a specific list of books to read, at least one per month, with anything else being filler. So I can read other things, but my anchor books are the ones that I'm specifically trying to get through. And that's why I want to make sure to re-engage that consistency level there too. So I'm doing that. And again, trying to make sure that happens earlier in the day rather than later in the day, because that's where it gets easier to push things off. We're also like finally getting to some decent weather. At least it's not cold. I mean, it's raining, but that's perfect when, I want to do my outdoor gardening. And that is something I would normally do in the mornings, because I do that with in conjunction or following, doing some writing outside, doing some reading outside. So this all actually could be very helpful, and it's just a matter of massaging it and putting things back in the chunks. That's what I'm really doing. And so those are the things that I'm doing. Number one, give myself some grace. Number two, prioritize the most important things that need to get back on track. And then everything else just chunk, like add one thing in, after a few days, and chunk, or, making sure to chunk those things together that make sense, and to do them so that I can, again, just get back into my regular flow, for consistency purposes, and not routine, because I struggled for the longest time with a quote routine, because it uh I was reading it as something that had to happen a certain way at a certain time every single day. And if I missed, then I was beating myself up over it. And once I came across, I don't remember who it was, some teachings talking about, hey, consistency is not about doing a certain thing every day a certain way. It's about doing it, when it makes sense for you, and then doing it regularly, right? So if something that I need to do every day is actually an everyday thing, cool, work through that. But other things are like, does it really need to happen on Tuesday at 2? Or can it happen, at Thursdays at 9? Or so if it's really a weekly thing that just needs to make sure to be done during the week, or something that does need to be done daily, but not at a specific time. And so making those adjustments was very freeing for me because I would just get very ritualistic about some of those things. And that makes it not fun and it makes it very stressful. And hello, did I say already that I need to be maintaining lower stress levels? Like that is actually a directive medically for me, which is insane. I'm like, do you know what I used to do for a living? It's like, yeah. So, but at this point in time in my life and career, it means more. And so those are the things I have to prioritize. So that flexibility with your consistency is not, it's not, uh, what's the word? They're not contraries. Like they're not at opposite ends of the pole. They're literally of the spectrum. They can be together. That's what I'm trying to say. A lot of words to be able to say that flexibility and consistency can work together. It's just a matter of literally going back to giving yourself some grace to figure out, okay, what works, and having some ebb and flow to something to make sure that works. So that's another, strategy or approach that I've implemented over the years, and that has been extremely helpful to me. And as a reminder of, hey, just needs to get done. Go in now. If you need to put it on your calendar or do something, or make adjustments because something else is happening, fine. But as long as it gets done within this window, the day, a week, or a month, and being flexible about that has worked. But for those things, when we're talking about more specifically, that fall more daily, weekly, and helping with that consistency, the piece has been identify the priorities, chunking things together that work together, and then being realistic about some things that may, like, they're not priorities, or they're like to have or would love to get done, but maybe they're not as quote important as I'd been making them. And so it's okay. Like you can just catch it the next time, right? Um, for example, one of the things I'm working on is decluttering. It's an ongoing process. And so I had seen where there were a couple of, what do you call those? Shred events. So I had intended to get to one of those. Last week just went by just in a blaze. And I did not get to sorting a box of papers that I had intended to so that I could take it to that event. And I was like, that's part of my thing, right? The clutter thing is part of a goal for the year. And so chunking it down means taking some actions on a regular basis. So that one is like, well, there's another one coming up. And then lo and behold, this other location is having another one just at a different space. So again, just giving yourself some grace and be like, well, how can I adjust this? What can I do differently and still meet the goal? And that's it. So that's me and my consistency journey right now, and looking forward to getting it straightened out. Hopefully in the next 4 weeks, only to have it disrupted by a week of travel. But that's a whole other thing. I'll deal with that when I get to it. Anyway, all right. I hope that this has been helpful to you all to listen to someone else's real, challenges with consistency and coming back from it or coming back to it, and to, just recognize we're all human. Stuff happens. Okay, so please, if you haven't already, remember to hit the thumbs up and like, and to hit subscribe. And I encourage you to also remember to celebrate you in every way, every day, because little or big, you deserve to be celebrated. Okay, take care, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.